Oi, oi, good evening. I'll just again double check that we're going live. We haven't been banned for copyright for anything this evening. No clips going in. Learnt my lesson, got my slap on the wrists. But yeah, going to review day two's action. Decent stuff today, wasn't it? I know there's been maybe say a few, but been like a couple of upsets, I suppose, in terms of some horses that may have been beaten. But the action itself has been stonking. Um, Well, obviously, I'll just go through it in normal order. Talk about how things I think played out, and then look. This is the halfway point of Cheltenham as well. That's the important thing to remember. That every day is a fresh day. Every race should be treated as a fresh race. I know it's not as easy on the day to treat it as that. Lots of people will be in anti-post positions, especially with someone like Envoy going in, running in the first race tomorrow. But time to like debrief, maybe even take some time away. Maybe don't watch stuff like this. Maybe have your own little break away from it because it does get quite intense. But look, we're halfway there. Two decent and really competitive days worth of action coming up. Yeah, so let's cover what's happened on the Wednesday because I was so blown away with Bob Oddinger in that first race. Now Matt put him up on our anti-up show. I think he was 16s when he put him up. So winner for Matt on there. I wasn't sold on Bob Oddinger right from a long way out, to be honest. And I know a lot of people that were talking about him over the summer. I just wasn't that sold on him. And then it wasn't until his last run, or not obviously the Ballymore the time before, where I finally said, you know what, he does look pretty good. And the fact that he's probably going to be better on this spring ground, which I think probably proved to be true. I was a bit worried about him in running because Harry Cobden looked to be fairly smart in front on Brave Man's game, but I did mention to my old man that I do worry about jockeys, whether they're trying to tactically slow the pace down of a race to try and get something else beat. Like we know Gaillard de Mesnil is a fairly keen going sort, but Bob Oddinger didn't really settle to as good as he has done before. His head was going around to the side a little bit, and I was a tiny bit worried about him. But like as soon as they started to pick up the tempo, he got back into his comfort zone, jumped beautifully. Gaillard de Mesnil, to be fair, jumped really nice to begin with as well. But it was just a really good performance from Bob Oddinger, and obviously to draw clear the way that he did. I think that all three of them are obviously really nice horses, but Bob Oddinger's got that sort of star attributes about him. So fair play to all those that are running from a long time out. I've got him in a few bets. So yeah, good little start to the day, wasn't it? I think for a lot of people. Then Monkfish in the RSA. Geez, his jumping was a bit dodge, wasn't it? But got the job done. I think in the first probably six fences, I think three of them he seemed to the water jump. I think it's the water jump. Fourth one in. Anywho, he took off very early on one. He got him really tight to the sort of. It's not really a cross fence, but it's the one in front of the best mate stand. So it kind of is up a hill, and it's a bit of a fiddly one. And then he had another one where he stood quite a way off with it. So like the fact is, he's a novice, and the fact is, he got to the other side of it. Wasn't overly like taken and blown away by the actual performance in the fact that he sort of only just went and won past Fiddler on the Roof. But that was my initial impression, my initial reaction. And I think looking at it back, to be fair to him, given the fact that he's made mistakes and the fact that he is still a novice, I know they all are in the race, but you get what I'm saying here. Like you can expect him to step considerably forward from that. And he's fairly lightly raced as well. He only had the 4 spins over hurdles. He's had the 4th chase start in this here. Missed, obviously, Punchestown after, so potentially wherever else they might have gone with him, but potentially missed some more experience there. So he's only going to get better. I think the faster they go, the more it would suit him as well. But yeah, he got the job done, didn't he? So fair play to him for doing that. Coral Cup, I wanted to cry a little bit after this because I backed Heaven Help Us and put him up for her up for the Dublin Racing Festival, didn't I? I just didn't really expect her to go and do it again, to be honest. It was a £12 higher mark. And I know obviously we've got UK tax and things like that to take into consideration, but she's won it by 9. Like it's absurd, like proper potentially. Well, it is a career best. She just sort of nicked the lead out in front. Ruby Walsh was saying before Emily that a lot of the winners come from behind. Just a hell of a ride, great result, and it's. I feel better because of the fact that she won at the Dublin Race Festival. Had I have tipped her up and she got beat there, and then I didn't back her here, I'd have been fuming. But hey ho, fair play. Hopefully, a couple of people did get on. Queen Mother Champion Chase, really, really sort of inventive. That's not even a word, is it? Like there was a lot of things that happened in the race, wasn't there? Like with So Royal not getting the clearest of runs, and even Nuba Negra towards the finish not really getting the clearest of runs. Like it looked on paper pre-race that it was going to be a really good affair. Like it was fairly competitive. Put the kettle on. She doesn't really get the respect that she deserves, and that's from me as well as other people. She gets the job done, didn't she? And fair play for Henry de Bromhead, but especially with this mare's chase being dangled out there. Like, how could you not, from his perspective, how could you not send the previous Arkle winner into a champion chase the next year? And imagine they hadn't, even if she'd have gone and won the mare's chase, like I don't know, they would have left one behind. But great result for them. Paul Townend I think he's picked up a ban for his ride on Chacon. He was visibly disappointed after they crossed the line to have got to the front, thinking he's going to get it done for William, and then it didn't quite happen. He didn't run to as good as he could run because we know that he should be put the kettle on in her place behind him anyway at the Dublin Race Festival. But different tracks, isn't it? I don't know what the excuse would be for Chacon Poursoir, but that isn't the best that we know he can run. Whether that means that he can't do it at Cheltenham or not still remains to be seen. But cracking results put the kettle on. Nuba Negra was a little bit unlucky in there, but proper decent championship race. And that's Honeysuckle and the put the kettle on. The two championship races so far, two girls have gone and won it. So, as I said with the Honeysuckle thing, I don't want people to start saying, oh, well, have they got the £7 allowance? Because that's not the reason she's won that, really, is it? She's won that because she's, on the day, the best horse in the race. And it's good to see this happening. We want the mares to get competitive just because it's good, full stop, for racing, isn't it? We don't really want to be able to keep using the fact that, oh, they're not quite good enough, when clearly they can be, can't they? Cross country, cannot believe Tiger Roll's done it, to be honest. Do you know what? There was a little bit in me when we were doing the ante-up. I said to Matt I was going to put him up, and Dave Jennings put him up on the other show. So my rule that I made at the start of the season was that we're not doing that. And I said to Matt, I want to put him up before he runs in the Boyne, because if he runs poor in there, I'll go off him. And that's exactly what happened. I backed him before the Boyne, went off in big style, cashed that one out and just left him. Had Easy Land on a few multis. I played a couple of... Well, I played an each way bet in there. I backed Balco to flow each way, and obviously he unseated early-ish. So poor play from me in the race in its entirety, but what a result for racing for Tiger Roll to go and do that. Like, he is an absolute legend of a horse. I know I abandoned ship. I know I thought he was completely and utterly gone with the game. Masterful training performance. Not really much more you can say. Now, I did fear that Easy Land wasn't necessarily... I don't know whether he was 100% going into this race, and that's not to take anything away from Tiger Roll. Some necks obviously run a monster race in there as well, but I don't know. It's just the cross country is that niche race, and it is the horse on the day that runs the best, isn't it? It's just with some neck, like, he shouldn't have been getting that close to Easy Land. For me to think that that's Easy Land's best running, but hey ho, like I say, the result is what it is. Horrible to lose King's Temptation in there, but it was great for Tiger Roll. It was a bit of a shame that there was no crowds specifically for that, because what an absolute legend he is. What they'll do with him after, I don't know, but it's just great to see him back and winning like he did. The Grand Annual, jeez, I cannot believe Sky Pirate's done it. But more surprising than bloody Tiger Roll, to be honest, because Sky Pirate was up for sale, 75 grand he went for last year. And I said to a friend of mine that he was in for sale, and just like sort of joking, I said, "Oh, you should keep an eye out for him because he's got a couple of horses and he's always looking for something else." He's roughly, and probably jokingly, said 30 grandish would be the budget. Said if you get him for that, you would do all right. And obviously, this drop back in trips done him a massive favour. But he's won this off a reasonable mark. A lot of people would have been backing this horse maybe a while back, and then even more recently, like a week or so ago. The fact that he's gone off at 14s is a bit staggering, really. We lost him bitted early enough in the race, but Sky Pirate, lovely travelling horse. I mentioned Not That Fusey on my preview this morning. Again, he travelled. You could trade him. I managed to do that in running, but Sky Pirate's another one that travelled. I didn't think of doing it with him. Kicked myself after, because I could have, especially that price he's gone off an SP, you could have backed him 15s, 16s on the machine before, and probably knowing that you'd be able to lay him single figures in running at some point. Whether he won or not's a different story, but you could play a position. I didn't do that. Cheltenham, innit? unfortunately, I try not to get too involved with the betting on the day, especially the first couple of days. I like to just sit back and see how my anti-post positions played out. But I definitely missed one there with Sky Pirate. But fair play to any of you and many of you that would have been on. Get onto the bumper now. Kilcrett's run really, really well in defeat, but what a ride from Rachel Blackmore. Like, she's nicked that by sending Sir Gerhard on. Fantastic for Cheveley Park. Decent performance. Like, I'm glad it was in the end between those two because they did look the standout ones. Ramilli's ran okay, but he's a second season bumper horse. He should be doing better than that if he's going to scale any sort of heights. So overall, a bit disappointing that he didn't even stay on until third. He didn't really stay on, to be fair. But Sir Gerhard, I think if him and Kilcrett face off again, whether it'll happen or not, I don't think so. But you'd imagine that Kilcrett could maybe not give as much rope. But again, it's best horse won on the day. He's tied me in for a few quid as well. So all the more sweet. So that's like pretty much, I feel like, Wednesday-ish covered. So there's, like we say in there, there's been some good results and some probably like feasible results to pick out there. I mean, Heaven Help Us would have been a little bit of a one to find, but again, you people that backed her at WMA Festival might have gone in again. But everything else that's gone in there, like they're doable. But it just goes to show how when it comes to Cheltenham, the racing is that competitive, and that when you do get horses getting beat, like you've had Easy Sland and Even Money favourite beat, you've had Kilcrett a 10 to 11 favourite beat, you've had Chacun Pour Soi an 8 to 13 favourite beat. The horses that they've been beat by, Chacun Pour Soi has been beaten by last year's Arkle winner. Easy Sland's been beaten by the horse that's been mopping up the cross country, a 4-time winner at Cheltenham, and Kilcrett's been beaten by Sir Gerhard, ultimately the second favourite. But the two of them would look like they were in a match race, so it's not as if they're proper outlandish shocks, just the way that it goes. But rolling on to Thursday, I know this is a review of the Wednesday action, but rolling on to Thursday, hopefully we're not getting any shocks and stuns in there that don't really come in. Like, you think about the Envoy race, a lot of money's been riding on to him, and there's obviously that bet batting about on Twitter for someone that's got $500,000 to come back if he comes in. I know a few people that are rolling him for quite a few quid. I myself have got a bit going on. But like we want the best horses to win, so fingers crossed and touch wood, all that stuff, that he just gets round and we get to see him do what he does. Even with like a Monkfish where he made a few mistakes, that's the sort of thing you still want the best horse to potentially be winning the race. And I think in Envoy's situation, like, he should be better than everything that's in the field. But if he gets beat, it's going to be beat fair and square. Chantry House, Fusey, Raffles, Shamblues in there, like they're nice enough horses. They just shouldn't be as good as Envoy. Ryanair looks filthily competitive. So good to see all those horses in there. Just a fantastic spectacle. Potemps looks really competitive. There's a few in there at price. Like, you could make a case for so many in there. It's a bit of a killer race. So I try not to. I have to stop looking at it, to be honest, because I'll just keep fancying something else. But I hope that Champagne Platinum manages to put the doubters in their place, but we'll have to see whether he's better than the mark at this trip or not. I still don't know. Maybe he's a bit shorter, but he's capable of this mark for sure. Then we've got Paisley. I'm hoping for some redemption there. I remember when Hurricane Fly regained his crown after an excusable year the year before. And I know they're not in the same league, but it would be great to see Paisley regain the crown. I just feel like one way or the other it's going to go that Paisley's going to win like he did before, or he's going to get beat almost like he did before, hopefully without the heart issue. But I just think he'll either be beaten out of sight or he's going to win. I don't think there'll be any in between with him. So yeah, hope that works out. The stable play will be interesting for more than one thing. The Shunt is going for the £100,000 bonus. A lot of people are going to be fancying him as well, so he'll be very interesting in there. Sully Doc that I've mentioned on a couple of things. Nice to see that he's been supported. So maybe it's his time to shine. I think he's been set out for this race, to be honest. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Mares Novice, I've mentioned this before, but that looks a really, really nice race. And again, the whole Mares programme, this is quite an exciting renewal. I'm glad to see that Galloway's exchange worries have been alleviated, and I'm glad that Paul Townend's jocked. I'd still like her to win the race. I've got plenty of cover with a few in there, but I would like her to win it because I saw something in her the first day. Well, a friend of mine did put me on, and I watched the replay and felt the same. But we saw something in her the first day that made her look quite special, and we've just not seen it since. So maybe the change of tactics they're going to apply will bring that back about her. Then the Kim Muir looks fairly good. Mount Ida for Sneezy Foster's being nibbled in now. Not quite the race that I was expecting it to be, but it's always an interesting one from a punting perspective. And again, there's a few in there at probably prices that could go okay. So best of luck with whatever you're going for tomorrow. Decent action today, like regardless of how you fared punting, like it's been some decent action today. decent action again tomorrow, and again, like there shouldn't be any shocks out there of horses that we really beforehand or afterwards we couldn't see at least running a competitive race, going and winning. And then it'll be on to Gold Cup day. So I'll do another review tomorrow, whether you like it or not. And